Hey guys, so we're going to be learning how to do some fish today in Madhubani style. They have lots of layers and patterns and copycat lines to them and different angles, and there's like 3 different styles I'm going to show you today. Okay, so all you're going to need is a piece of paper, a pen, and maybe something to color with. Okay, or you can use a pencil, whatever you have available is fine. Okay, all right, so for the fish, I'm hoping my light doesn't act all weird on this one. We're going to do the simple shape of the fish first. Okay, so for this first one, we're going to kind of curve around, up, and down. Okay, so that's the basic shape of our fish. Okay. Okay, from this corner here, this is the tip of the tail, we're going to curve in, kind of like we're doing an M or W, or 3, backwards 3. I'm going to curve down to do the tail. Come on, light. Okay. So I just curve down, in, and out. Okay. And now what we're going to do is I'm going to curve this back in and then come around to meet the tip again. Okay. Just like that. Okay. And now we're going to do a copycat line around that whole thing. Okay, so on the outside, I'm just going to follow the same line that I created. In Madhubani, there's always layers, always different lines separating out different patterns. So leave a little space and kind of keep it close. Okay, so it should look like that. All right, next we're going to do the eye. So over here, I'm just going to do a circle and another circle inside. I'm going to leave a tiny bit of white. Okay, so kind of 3 little circles. I don't know if you can see the eye very well. Okay, but the white is for the pupil, the part where we see, and the black is actually our pupil part, but I mean, it goes around it, but that's okay. So it's a little bit of light that we see in the eye. All right, so now we're going to do the mouth. So from the tip here, I'm going to do kind of a wavy line. I'm going to curve up and down and back up again. Okay, so just like that. And then I'm going to take this, I'm going to curve down and back up. So it's like a little piece of seaweed or a little tentacle or something. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing on the inside. I'm doing the copycat line following that. And that's the lips of our fish. Okay. All right. Now we're going to add some fins. Okay, so on the top here, I'm going to kind of curve around, down into a point, and then I'm going to curve this back around until I hit the outer line. Okay, that's one fin. We do the same thing, but a little fatter down here. Okay, so I'm going to curve around and up and curve down. I don't know if you can see that from the light, I apologize. I don't know why the light's acting all weird. Okay, and we have a couple more on the very bottom of our fish. Okay, see, I don't know why my light is acting all weird. There we go. Okay. All right, so we're going to do the same thing down here. I'm going to curve around and up, down and back. Same thing here. Curve around to a point and down and back. Okay. And now we're going to do our copycat lines with those. You can do on the outside or inside. I think I'll do the inside with these ones. Okay, just like that. All right. So that's our of fish so far. Okay, and they look a little different, and that's just because it's the style of this culture. Okay, all right, so we're going to make a couple curved lines here. Start separating out some patterns for our fish. Okay, I'm going to do that. I'm going to leave a little space. I'm going to do that again. Okay, so now we have those lines. And now in between those, I'm going to do zigzag patterns. I'm going to start from the corner. I'm going to do up, down, up, down, up, down, and up. Okay, so some zigzags. And inside of these triangles, I'm going to do some kachni. Kachni is where we do lines really close together. We could do diagonal lines, vertical lines, or horizontal. So remember, we have horizontal is long, okay, like that. Vertical is up and down, and diagonal is across, okay? All right, so I'm going to do diagonal lines for these triangles, but I'm going to alternate the direction that I'm going. So I'm going to change it. So if I went one way, I'm going to do the opposite way on the next triangle. Go all the way across, and I'm going to keep them tight together so they look nice. So the closer your lines are together, the nicer it looks. So take your time with this. Do a good job. Okay, so it kind of looks like that. Okay. Oops, I just realized I changed my pattern. Okay, until the whole thing is filled. If you hear my husband in the background, he's playing some video games, so gets a little excited with that. Okay, so it's an upside down fish, but you can see the patterns. All right, so now we're going to create a new pattern, but first at the tail, we're going to do some more curved lines. Okay, I'm going to do 2 lines next to each other. It's kind of like that. Okay, so now in this middle section, we're going to do a different pattern here. I'm going to do a curved line, almost like a half circle, and I'm going to do another line and another line after that. Okay, so it looks like that. Okay. And now slightly off to the side of it, I'm going to do the same thing at an angle. And I'm going to do that on the other side as well. So it's alternating the pattern. Okay, so now these ones are on the side. Okay, I'm going to do another one in the middle, in between these. So wherever there's 2 like this and there's a little gap, that's where you're going to put your next one. Okay, so I'm going to do another curved line with 2 more following it. I'm just going to keep going with this pattern, and I can actually make these bigger if I want, or I can make them smaller. It's your choice how you want to do them. For your fish, this one can get pretty big for your fish. So however you want to do it, and if it goes off, it's okay. Just try to complete your lines the best you can. Okay, so we keep filling it until our fish looks kind of like that. Okay. Alright, and then all we have to do is color it. But we're going to do some kachni in the fins now, so I'm going to do just some vertical lines up and down on the fins. Normally you would take your time on here, but I don't want this video to be too long. Okay, so I'm doing some kachni, filling this in. Some lines, and I could do some diagonal lines in this one if I want. Okay, and then there's our fish. Alright, and you can color this. Now yellow is a very popular color. For India, they use some herbs, some spices to mix with water to use as paint. They even use cow dung for mixed with water as like a paint as well, so that's interesting. And it also helps to keep bugs and things off of their artwork when they do it on walls and stuff. So, all right, so that was this fish that we did. Now we're going to move on to this fancy one right here. Okay. So for this one, like I said, we're going to do our basic shape of our fish first. So this one kind of curves around and back. So kind of like an interesting C. Okay. And then we're going to curve in and out for the tail. Okay. Kind of like an M or a W. And we're going to follow this back in, keeping the tail kind of small. And then over here for the head, we're going to curve around and in towards the tail. So it looks like that. Okay. And then we're going to do our double line all the way around our copycat line, keeping a little space and trying to keep it close. The same width all the way around. This one kind of reminds me of a betta fish. I used to have betta fish in high school. They're beautiful. Okay, so there's our fish so far. And now for this one, for its fins, we're going to do a different design. We're going to do a bumpy design. So I'm going to do 3 circle loops. 1, 2, 3 on the top, just like that. Okay, and I'm going to do my copycat line around it. Boop, boop, boop. And sometimes it helps to make the noise. And I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom. Boop, 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 and my copycat line. Boop, boop, boop. Okay, so like that. Alright, and now we're going to do the eyeball, because our fish needs to see. So I'm going to do a small circle, and another circle inside that. I'm going to leave a little white circle in there for light. Okay, and you could do a little line for a smile if you want in your fish. Okay. Alright, now I'm going to do some curved lines for our pattern, just like we did with the other one. I'm going to leave a little space, and I'm going to do another curved line. This time, I'm going to leave a bigger space. I'm going to do 2 more lines. And leave a little space and do 2 more curved lines. And a little more space, do 2 more curved lines. And 2 more curved lines, pretty much all the way down the tail until we get towards the curve at the end. Okay, where the tail splits in 2. Alright, it's just like that. Okay, so in this first pair of lines, we're going to do kachni. So we're just going to do straight vertical lines up and down, close together, all the way across. Okay, and here we're going to do our zigzag pattern. Up and down, up and down. And we're just going to do a dot in each of those triangles that we created. And I'm going to make a big triangle. So I don't know if you can see that. I want to get ahead of myself here. Okay, so we have that so far. And now I'm going to create a big triangle in here. And it doesn't have to touch all the way to the other side. So it's kind of like a big fin that it has. And I'm going to do kachni inside of that. These ones don't necessarily have to be as close together. It's a bigger area. Okay, and I'm going to do these little bumps like what we did for the fins of this fish all the way around that triangle. The edge, so it looks like that. Okay. And I'm not going to worry about these lines here on this inside part. We're going to do like what we did for this part of the fish. We're going to have curve and another line, but we're going to make these a little smaller. So instead of having the double line, it's just going to have the one. So that's what we're doing in there. Okay, just like before. Remember, wherever there's a space in between, that's where the next one can go. And just keep going until you fill in that whole area. And these ones can be a little smaller. Okay, so it's going to look like that. Alright, and then we're going to do some other patterns in the next one, in the next set. We're going to do these loopy ones, so they're going to be like longer loops, like that, only we're going to add another loop in the middle of them. Look like that. Okay, that's the pattern that's going to go here in this next space. So I'm going to make it touch the other side. It's a curve, and oh no, my pen is dying on me. I have to switch pens here. Okay, right, now I have another loop on the inside. Okay, and then for this next section, we're going to do our zigzag pattern again. Or actually, I'm going to do a box. I'm going to do a square in this one. It matches my curve. Okay, so just like that. And now I'm going to do my zigzag, but I'm going to create another double line in here. I think the spaces are a little big. So I'm going to do my other zigzag. I might not get very far in this one. I'm going to do a little triangle within the triangles. So it looks like that. Okay. All right. And then I'm going to do those loopy loops again for the last one. Loopy loop with another loop inside. Okay. And then our pattern for the inside of the fish is done. And we're just going to do more kachni for the fins. So vertical lines up and down, or you can do horizontal, do diagonal, whatever you want. I like the vertical ones. Okay, there we go. Right, our second fish is complete. Okay, now we're going to do the very last one. This one right here. This one's totally different. I think it's a little simpler. So what we're going to do for this one is we're going to do a curved line, just like that, and another one to copy it, kind of like we're doing a leaf. Come on, pen, don't die on me to finish this video. Okay, so it kind of looks like, come on, like that. Okay, almost like a torpedo or an almond. Okay, and then for the tail, I'm going to come on the edge of this a little bit, and I'm going to do a curve up and a curve in. I'm not going to go in all the way. I'm going to do another curve out and curve in, just like that. Okay, and I'm going to do a copycat line inside of it. And I'm going to do a couple circles inside of that. So that's how our tail should look. Okay, and we can color it all in later. This one doesn't really need fins on top, but I kind of created my own, so I just kind of looped up and did these spikes, these little curve things, until I got to the end and did my copycat line around them. So if you want to do those, you can, but you don't have to for this fish. So kind of like that. I did the same thing on the bottom, just created some little curvy zigzag lines for it, for its fin. Alright, and now we're just going to do our curved lines to separate the inside parts, just to create some different sections here with the fish. Okay. Do another one there. Okay, so in this first part, this is going to be divided a little differently. So from the very tip here, I'm going to start with one right in the middle, and I'm going to divide this into different sections, like 3 or 4 different sections. So it looks kind of like a little juicer. And I can do some diagonal lines in those, going different directions. I'm not going to do a very nice job here because I don't want this video, like I said, to get too long. But it's kachni with diagonal lines. Okay, just like that. And then this one separates. I can color that in black if I want. I'm going to do kachni in this next one with just some vertical lines up and down, all the way across. But you can do whatever patterns you want. You can do any of the ones we just did. Make up your own, your choice. Okay. And in this next one, actually in the same one, I think I'm going to do some little loops. And I'm going to color those in to add some contrast. It's kind of a big area, so I'm going to fill that in. Little petal loops. Okay, so like that. Alright, and now for the next one, I'm going to do the same kind of thing. I'm going to do those little bumps. Only this time, I'm going to do a smaller loop on the inside. So it looks like that. Okay. I'm going to skip this line, and then the next line, or no, I'm not going to skip it. In the same line that we were in, I forgot I want to do kachni in there too, in that background, for the main body of the fish. Okay, I add some kachni in there. Now, in this next one, we're going to do squares. So I'm just going to do some lines to separate it out, and I can do some circles, like a small circle inside each square. So it kind of looks like a gem belt kind of thing that we create on our fish. Fancy. Okay. I'm going to skip the next line because we need a line between our patterns. And I'm going to do the same kind of pattern that we did before, but it's going to be a little different. So we're going to do the same loopy kind of pattern, but I'm going to do another one inside of it. And then I'm going to do a dot. Okay, so it kind of looks like that. I'm going to do that for the whole thing. I'm going to do one in between those bumps now. So I'm alternating. Do another little loop. And then a dot in that loop. Same thing all the way around, in between my loops. Another little loop. And a dot. So I'm going to make these a little bigger. And a dot. Okay, until we finish the whole body of the fish. And then we will be done. Okay, and that's our fish. And we'll just do kachni for the fins on the inside, and that's it. Alright, so I hope you guys had fun with these fish, and we'll see you next time.